Hi, my name is Marie, and we are meeting for the Ambassador Kickoff Call. This is after a lot of work from the revamp objective. We went through some intros and some history before this, but now we're going to jump into our agenda and get into, kind of what's next and what we want to do with the ambassadors next. So so under here we have review of objective work. So basically, I'm going to share a link with y'all. Here it is. This was our objective here. So most things are fully completed or kind of in process. The thing that we're kind of working on finishing up right now, and this is absolutely a place that folks can get involved, are the docs. So basically, we've taken the CommOps docs and reorganized them to include all the different outreach teams in there, right? So I'm going to share my screen, if I can, to give a little overview of what that looks like, right? So it used to look totally different than this on the front of CommOps. Now we have it kind of more like Mindshare set up, where you have the different teams kind of right here at the front. And then over here on your drop-down menu, you have the variety of things, right? So marketing, join, and advocates, they're very much related to outreach, and they should be a part of, this collection, but they also kind of work independently, right? So we've linked out to Fedora Join SIG, we've linked out to marketing and the advocates documents as well. But the ones that really have a lot more info here are going to be ambassadors and CommOps. So you'll see under each one, we've done a team overview. So this is like just a general description. Then we've gone into a role handbook. So the role handbooks talk about, like, as an ambassador, what you can kind of expect to do and what your role is on the team, basically. It gives you some concrete information as well, like how to move to Ambassador Emeritus or retire, how would you come back, a little bit more about ambassador conduct because we have a standard for ourselves, more about responsibilities, teams you'll be working with, and some contact information. We also have added in here logos for each of the teams so that they just have quick access to that wherever they might need to use it. And we also have attached badges, like this is the badge you get for being an ambassador. We hope to add more in here, like you run 5, 10, how many of our events or something of that nature. We also have a breakdown for Ambassador Emeritus, just saying, like, normalizing that, like, retiring is okay and you're also always welcome to come back. We have a badge for that, as well as logo. And the same with Ambassador Mentor, we have the docs written and they are going to be pushed out to this place. That is something that's in progress. Docs take a lot more time than you would think they would. Similar with CommOps, we have the team overview. This should say role handbook. We'll get that changed. And it's similar. Here's, kind of what we do as a team, who you'll be working with, how you might retire. We also have reps to Mindshare. So we've documented those CommOps and ambassador reps to Mindshare, their responsibilities, their duration of service, and how they might change, et cetera, et cetera. We have logos, badges, and we also have a whole information about the community blog as CommOps stewards the community blog. We have a section in here for community polls. These are community polls that we've used. Actually, I think we need to put some more info in here, but here they are. So these are questions we've asked either on the Fedora annual contributor survey. We did our own outreach survey, and we'd also really like to see some more like casual in-between polls on Discourse. So you'll see that these are actually formatted to be put on Discourse. The template here is designed to be used for Discourse. So anyone can really take these, steward them, and then bring back the results to the CommOps team or just the outreach teams in general. These actually need to be consolidated up in here, so this will eventually disappear from here. And then we also have this kind of catch-all, which is IRC Libera chat group contacts. So this is really about maintenance of IRC and Libera chat, which kind of falls under our outreach thing. And then we have just a section for badges that you can earn. So for being a part of advocates or ambassadors. This first steps one is meant to be on the join SIG. This is going to be removed. The team member badges and badges that you get for working in the repos. So it's really easy to see like what kind of things you can do to potentially earn a badge. We also have created a whole library of design resources, assets for ambassadors to use. Something we've historically had was Fedora cheat cubes. Something we like, the classic one is going to be this packaging one here. But we decided like how cool would it be to have other things. So we have join SIG and we have this how to join Fedora slide presentation. So we said, let's make some how to join Fedora cheat cubes. We have ones just for the 4 foundations. So these you can just print out at home or at your local print store and bring to events. And they should be formatted correctly for you. We'll have like I'm not sure that all of the source files are up there right now, but I know that the PNGs are. So we're working on making sure everything is in the repo currently. There's a slide deck presentation. So this is a template for any ambassador to use, really any person to use. That is this title needs to be changed, but this is for anyone to use to make a Fedora presentation. We also have a how to join Fedora presentation, and this one has content all ready to go, and people can just take that and use that presentation at events, whether Fedora or other events. We also have some flyers about how to join Fedora, and these are ready to be printed, and there's some, easy first steps, and then kind of like, how, what's the general places, people can kind of get involved. And we have a few different looks and feels here. Depending on what your event is, you might want something different. We also created web versions of how to join Fedora so that ambassadors can share that in other avenues really easily, like inside of, your company or at your university where you're teaching. This is something you could take and give out to your coworkers or your students. And then we also have some cheat cubes about how to join Fedora, which I mentioned on the other one. We have the organizational chart. Eventually, we'd like to see more inside here, but this is the one we got for now. And this is huge. And it's really useful to explain to new interested people what exactly Fedora is and how big it is and, where you can get involved. So this one's a really great tool as well. And then Mindshare Team Infographics. This talks about what the kind of non-coding teams are doing. So a lot of people are saying like, I don't code. How do I get involved in Fedora? These are ways, and these are all examples of how these teams contribute to Fedora, right? Like, so everything from here, we have wallpapers, supplemental wallpapers, design, badge designs, Fedora banners. And this is just one, this Fedora design. We have them also for badges, ComOps, the DI team, join SIG, localization, translation, magazine, and Mindshare committee. So those are all going to be in the repo as well for you to access and to share with people. I will say this, they were made in 2020 and they have yet to be updated since then. They're still valid. We still do a lot of the same activities, but we are looking for updates. And maybe we should open a design ticket for that. And then here we just have all of the team logos in one spot for people to grab and use as needed. So I am going to stop sharing, come back on camera for a moment. So that is like the culmination of our docs efforts, as well as we had an intern last summer create a bunch of design assets for us. This is still a work in progress. We would love to have people get involved in the sense like, we think this is missing, we think that is missing. like that lightweight to, hey, I actually want to get in here and write with you. That's also an option if you're interested in improving this. Once we kind of, as a group, say we're happy with this, we're going to ask translators to come in and help us translate these the large volume of documentation we have here. But we feel like it's not really worth it unless we are really all on the same page and ready for that. So beyond that,
if I could add something here.
Sure.
So what Marie just showed us actually is a product of many months of work, slow but work. We did that. Fedora is a huge project. There are so many teams, and you can imagine that there's so much documentation that we had to take out the outdated parts, add new ones. And basically we are at this stage of creating the documentation where we need to kind of, QA it. We need people to tell us like, hey, I noticed this is missing, links, etc. So your help would be very, very much appreciated here.
Absolutely. So any like questions or thoughts about the documentation, any of that kind of like history that we were talking about, or we're just open to commentary. I don't want to just totally take the stage. Vipul, go ahead.
Great work, by the way. Amazing documentation. Thank you. Love it so far. What I would like to know is, where do we go from here? I was an ambassador, and what would be the next step for me other than documentation, reading through and making sure it's in the place? Can I start doing some sort of, let's say, university visit? Can I start doing some of the things that I was just talking about, how I started my ambassador journey? Can I start talking to different people as a Fedora ambassador? Can I start calling myself an ambassador again? Because in some point, we all know that this role or this title, however we want to call it, drifted apart. We don't know what happened to that. And clearly, that's why this initiative. Where are we with that? What do you think, Mary?
Well, I'm going to let Mariana and Sumantro have a crack at it first. I've been talking for a while.
I can go about this one. So, Vipul, yes. So we never said no that we want to phase out all ambassadors. We actually wanted to say you are all. You can always use the title ambassadors whenever you see fit. The thing that has been coming up very recently is something called Fedora Hatch. So, like you said, there is a event that you want to go to, you want to speak about your journey, yes, you can go about doing that. There's a discussions that's going on right now, and that I think would be a starting point for outreach. Uh, from here on, it would be one of the most streamlined ways and kind of innovative way that Marie has planned for all of us. Mariana, if you have something to add, go ahead.
No, if you would like to start organizing events, etc., please do.
Cool. Yeah.
So
Oh,
sorry. What I was saying is, that's one thing that we are indeed planning around Hatch. A bunch of university drives. We have already had meetings around it. We want to do at least like 3, 4, 5 universities where we go. It's definitely good to know that we can do that as part of ambassador outreach, and then we can highlight it in these sections that we have done it, and not just part of Hatch as well. Thank you. That's all.
yes. And there's more opportunities, like outside of docs, concrete opportunities that we're going to talk about at the end of the call. So yes, we are absolutely ready to work as ambassadors. Anyone who has the ambassador title is welcome to use that. We would like to see, onboarding of new ambassadors. That's something we'd like to see in the next year, right? So if you're not that yet, we're going to work to get you there. And if you are, then you're welcome to, use that title. I don't think we're ever like, it doesn't exist anymore. But I think people just kind of had like more of an, sadly, a negative connotation around it. Bill, would you like to speak up?
Oh yeah. Do we still have access to the 2 event boxes that was in the US?
So we are actually putting together new event boxes right now, and that is being done through Mindshare, and because we have a new Fedora logo. So I just sent tablecloth template files to our designer to get some new tablecloths made, and we're working on the banner designs, and we actually have a few events in our queue that are asking for the event kit. So we have Scale coming up I think it's in July, and we also have an event in Albania. Mariana, you could remind me what it's called. Um, so we're getting those together right now. So yes, ambassadors will have access to event kits, and it'll include a tablecloth and 2 upright banners, as well as like a bunch of those other smaller things. And then we'll work on like a standard like swag allotment that will most likely come from actually the Cool Stuff store. But yes, the answer is yes. Mariana,
that
did you have? Oh,
that was going to be my next question: is can we get swag? Because like I teach at a university, and I got a lot of college students that's in my classes, and to
right.
promote it, sometimes I hang out swag and stuff on the.
So I think this is a really good question, and I'm glad that we're going to go over it right now. And the answer is like basically swag and funds used to flow through local like point people, right, for ambassadors. And that's the financial changes I was talking about, right? Non-red hatters were holding red hat credit cards, and that was something that wasn't going to be feasible moving forward. So it became the thing that the community action and impact coordinator was the one person with a credit card and was able to do, you know, reimbursements for people. So that process now runs through Mindshare. But that doesn't mean that, like that means it's perfect for ambassadors. It means you don't have to own all of that work and of like the logistics and the financials, and Mindshare deals with that, and you just have to ask them for it. There is a swag template on here, pretty sure. Swag only, release party, advocate, and a Lime survey. So if you wanted to run a survey around Fedora, you can request that here. If you look at the drop-down menu under types, you'll see the different options there. So that is how ambassadors are going to be ordering swag now. And also, if you wanted to sponsor an event, you would go here. If you wanted to attend an event, you would go here. So Mindshare kind of the monetary and the swag stuff moved to Mindshare, and now we're kind of just like more free to just do outreach work and let Mindshare worry about the budget. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it answered it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Vipul, you're next.
Yeah, it's me again. Sorry if I'm jumping a few steps here and also kind of bringing up some kind of sour memory here. Back in the day, there were some conflicts about the mentorship style of ambassador, who was becoming ambassador mentor and who was able to allocate new mentors. Uh, do we have some sort of guidelines on how can we make new mentors and how can we mentor new ambassadors?
Right. So mentorship is definitely a part of what we've looked at. And Sumantro, Mariana, and I have had like hours of conversation about it at this point. And we made some small adjustments to the process, but I think overall, it's not a horrible process that was in place. We just need a reset on it, right? Like who's actually ready and willing to mentor? Like just clear that out. And because a lot of that is like outdated people who are not necessarily involved, or maybe they're working in another part of Fedora. So like the current list of mentors is not accurate, right? So we're moving the docs to the CommOps docs, and we'd like input on the process, right? Like I think something that's important to know about the docs and all of this work that we've done is we've done it as our best possible educated Fedora loving guesses that we could with the input of the community, right? But it's not perfect. We're not perfect. And processes always have room for improvement, right? So I think that we should make mentorship a topic for our next call, because we don't have time on the agenda today. I really think it is an important topic, but I would like to get through two things. I really want to make sure that we know how and when we'd like to connect in the future. Is it an IRC meeting? Do we want to continue with calls? And do we want that to be monthly? So that's one thing I think we really need to cover this meeting. And the other thing is ways to get involved right now. So like things that are happening that we would love to see ambassadors be a part of. I will say that I think we should add it here. There's a section here called questions and future agenda topics. And so I would absolutely, if we don't have time to fully go into something today, because we only have 20 minutes left, let's add stuff there and we can bring it to our next call. Absolutely. Does that help for now, Vipul?
Definitely. Thanks a lot.
Of course. So are there any other outstanding questions? I kind of think we should move forward. But Akash, go ahead.
Thanks, Marie. I don't really know if this has been answered or this has already been covered, but coming from the perspective of someone who might be around the community for a while now and they want to step up their contributions for being an ambassador, so what exactly would be a jump off point from them? How can they express that they want to become an ambassador and the things that they could do to be one?
Right. So that goes right in with that mentorship, onboarding conversation. So my first thing is, Akash, you basically are acting like an ambassador in many ways already. You are, you're someone who's already super active with events and mentorship and many other things. So I feel like it's a natural progression for you to, go through the process and become a full ambassador. So I don't see any problem with that. My thought is just continue to stick around the ambassador calls. We're going to get there with people, right? It's a process. Thanks for coming, Bill. We will see you around. So yeah, I would say keep, being active in these meetings and join us in the channel for any conversations and join us on Discourse for any conversations about outreach. And I think that's like a great place to start. Also, if you wanted to document like what events you've already worked on and pitched in on, what, presentations you might have done, that's the kind of thing that makes the case for ambassadorship. Okay, so we don't run out of time, I would like to get a general feeling from the people here. Do you prefer a video call or an IRC meeting? Drop it in the chat. Say it out loud. Let's hear what people think.
Matthew, you're
What we
on
can
mute.
do is, Matthew's saying something. Good, Matthew.
We can't hear you, Matthew.
Yeah, I think it's
You'd
some
want to
hardware
click on the
mute.
gear
There we
icon.
go.
Double
and
secret
select
mute again. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I think it would be good to alternate because I think there's some accessibility things that both of them provide to different people in different ways. So I think having both available is a good way.
Cool. What other people
That's
think?
my suggestion.
People's also on
I agree.
alternate.
Yeah.
Some people are saying IRC. Akash says both. Sayak says video. Anything from the co-leads?
I would gently like to suggest that we say matrix instead of IRC from now on.
Okay. You got it. I got a lot of words to keep straight in my mind though, so please forgive me if I say it incorrectly. What do you think, Mariana?
I was gonna. I can hear myself back. So I prefer alternating in between metrics and video call. It's nice once in a while to meet in person, virtually.
So do we think that we want to do that monthly then or bi-weekly? Like, so 1 meeting a month is by Element, and one meeting a month is by video. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep,
That's
sounds
okay.
right.
All right. And then my next question is this time good for people? Or should we do a know when is good?
Works for me.
Perfect for me.
Works for me as
Same
well.
here.
So,
All right. So that was relatively painless. I think that we're going to move forward, and I will set that up with Mariana and Sumantro. We'll have 2 calls or 2 meetings. One is a call, one is a matrix element, Libera. And that's going to be at the same exact time. Cool. So next thing I want to talk about is go ahead. Questions, thoughts?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out that though it might be a survivorship bias, people who this time didn't work for might not be here already. So
You know, you're totally right, Bipple. Do you think
like, for those who worked this time worked for, they're already here. So again, it worked for them, but a lot of
right,
people are not here. Yeah.
survivorship bias, that's absolutely the right word for it. Akash, join in.
how about we wait for the next meeting for them to turn up? In order to make sure that we actually need to accommodate for them. Might just happen that for the folks who are not turning up, they might not care much about time, right? So if one of them turn up in the next meeting and say that, oh, geez, this time does not work, then we'll actually feel like that, yeah, we should actually look into and maybe get some other time.
I had another thought, which was I can go in the channel and say, here's the video, here's our meeting notes. We're really curious about who wanted to be here but couldn't make it. And I think the people who might respond to that, like if we get a ton of people who are like, well, I really wanted to be there and I couldn't make it. So I think we have to maybe let's keep this meeting time for one more month, right? So that we definitely have a next meeting, and it'll be a matrix meeting. And then from there, we can kind of keep going with this conversation. And also, I'll do that follow up. We'll share the notes and say, who wasn't able to make it. Okay. So not quite set, but we know at least we're going to meet 1 month from now. All right. Any other thoughts about that? Thank you, Vipul, for bringing up that point. I was feeling a little bit that deep inside, but then I was also like, easy win. I like those sometimes because a lot of them are hard wins, So,
Yep.
all right, let's talk about some ways to get involved with the last 10-ish minutes, and then we'll leave the last 5 for any comments or questions moving forward. Okay, so one thing I want to bring ambassador attention to is Fedora Hatch. So every year we do some kind of contributor conference, and I talked to the community about what they wanted, and a lot of people are saying they're just not ready to travel yet, and a lot of people are saying I just need to be with people. Oh my god, right? So there's also the idea that Nest has brought so much more accessibility to Fedora, Fedorans, the developers behind Fedora, the contributors behind Fedora, and just the Fedora culture. We've, going from maybe 200 people at Flock to almost 1,000 people at Nest. There's just no question that we're reaching more people. So we want to do Nest still, but something else we'd like to do is something we're calling Fedora Hatch. So this is a great chance for Fedora ambassadors to run a local event. Maybe pair up with somebody. I think it would be good to have at least small teams of a couple. And in this instance, it's you can propose what you want to do. If you read through the article, it points to the Flock du jour to suggest your idea, and there is a template there for Hatch. So you just go in there and take a look at that template and kind of fill stuff in about what your idea might be. So we had people talking about I do hikes for release parties with people, or someone else was like, I want to run a pub quiz. I think that Vipul and Akash are looking at visiting universities. So it's really whatever you want. There is funding available. We're not sure how much. Really depends on how many people submit things, right? So if we only get a couple submissions, we might have more room. If we get a ton of submissions, it might be a little more sparse. So we just have to see what happens. I'm going to be looking at those and evaluating them the last week of April, right? Because we'd like to have them happen in June or July. So this is a great chance for people to get involved. Are there questions about Fedora Hatch? Akash, go ahead.
Actually, I was going to say that I'm going to write down those questions. I have tons of them. We don't really have a lot of time left. So
Yes,
I'll reach out to you asynchronously. Thanks on that, Marie.
I think maybe Hatch should be another topic for our next meeting.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. But
Beyond
send me the
mentorship
questions in
and
between.
Hatch.
Yeah, send
Will
me
do.
those questions.
Will
Cool.
do.
So the other part of that was Nest with Fedora. So far, myself and a couple very interested people have ran the virtual events. But this is something I think that ambassadors should be a part of. It's outreach. It's exactly what we do, but it's an evolution of what we do, right? Like it's always kind of been these in-person things, but now virtual events, organizing virtual events is something that's going to be necessary, and it's also a great skill for people to learn how to manage this type of event. So Nest with Fedora and involvement in that is absolutely something that ambassadors can get involved in. Sumantro, did you have something?
So, Murray, I was wondering if we can have the next call topic and we can talk a little bit about the hatch in the next call, so that if whoever is planning around events or hatch events, we could give them some guidance around how to plan that.
Absolutely. I think it might be, if we're doing it for a month from now, it might be a little late for people to propose new things, but it would be great for the people who have proposed things to get more clarity. So I think I want to try to drop, these notes in the channel and be like, this is a place that ambassadors can get involved. Take a look at it, even if you weren't able to make it to the meeting, and let me know if you have questions about Hatch in between. Right. So yes, and I do think we should have it at our next meeting as well to talk about some of the details. So I was making a point about virtual events being something I think is a great fit for ambassadors, right? It's also like some people can't always travel or they have reasons they can't travel, right? So like the virtual event participation absolutely counts as ambassadorship and is a great skill to have if you know you're not going to be traveling a lot, right? That's a great way to be involved in event planning. And to segue into the next thing, as you probably know, we run virtual release parties. This is something I mainly do on my own with some help from Mindshare, but it's something we could do more at. We could do more promotions. We could do more social events. We could tag other things on there, like how to join Fedora sessions. We could work on reaching out to different universities and networks that we're involved in to bring those people to our release parties. So there's a lot around the release parties that people can get involved in. I think that's another great way for people to get to jump in kind of right away. I'm right in the midst of planning a release party. So if you have an interest in getting involved in that, I'd say just get in touch with me directly and we can figure out where you might fit in there. But to follow up with that, we are at the point where we are able to fund, local in-person events. So if ambassadors want to run a release party for Fedora Linux 36, they can. And it could be a Hatch release party combo. There is nothing stopping that from happening. So normally these were like $100 events, but if you're pairing it up with Hatch, I think we could probably put some more funding towards that, right? So release parties. Ambassadors are welcome to start working on those together. And so those are the main event areas that we have. I also want to go ahead, Vipul.
Just wanted to say I have missed release party cupcakes and cakes that we used to have. I'm so looking forward to it. Expect a ticket somewhere. And especially release party in Goa near the beach. Akashdeep, you are welcome. Uh, I have one more
Awesome.
thing around the event. I think, Murray, you are about to say something about that next.
Oh, go ahead.
We have Fedora Mentor Summit tomorrow. Shameless plug. I'm sorry to take it over. Uh, this is the first time we are organizing Fedora Mentor Summit. The idea is for different people interested in mentors as a mentor or mentee, or just someone who is looking forward to see how to do either of them. We have some very nice talks, but a lot more panel discussions, brainstorming sessions, fun games, and things. The whole event is focused towards more audience participation than just sit back and listen to talks. We have three talks, half an hour each, but three panel discussions, which are an hour each, and then games. We also have paid to some people who have a lot of experience in doing virtual games and team building things. We have a lean coffee discussion where you can present ideas and we'll discuss about it in a short bursts, I guess. This event will really use as much as possible. Ambassador mentorship is also one of the things, and it will be great if you all can make it. I'll share the link to register in the chat.
I beat you to it, Vipul. Thank you for sharing that. Graham, go ahead.
I was wondering whether you can say anything about the use of Hopin for the virtual events. It seems like a great platform. But I don't know anything about running events on there. Do you need a license? Is it paid for? And yada yada yada.
So, absolutely. So we have an account with Hopin through Red Hat, right? So I have semi-permanent access to it. Sometimes I get booted off if there's other events going on that have a lot of organizers, but like there's enough to have, like up to 10 organizers at a time. And right now, Vipul is on there with a few other Fedora contributors, like non-Red Hatters, using the platform and organizing on it. It's also a really widely used tool. So there's just a huge doc system that they have for it. Like, it's like some Zendesk info thing. And you can go in there and be like, what size does this one picture need to be? And it tells you, like, there's really a lot of information on how to run it. But I think what could be cool is having just like a simple setup guide. So I think that's something that can come out of it. But yes, ambassadors have access to Hopin, can propose events. And I'll just say Vipul is a great example of that. He wanted to do the Fedora Mentor Summit. And I was like, great, go ahead. It's an event I don't have to organize. And so he took it and ran with it. And he's organizing that. And I would say that that's under his ambassador role, I guess, sort of. We didn't talk about it in that context, but yes, Hopin is available to us. So really quick before we end here, the other ways to get involved beyond these virtual events, beyond Hatch, in-person release parties, and the review of the docs, the testing of the docs, which will find very useful. Join the Fedora, the weekly Fedora social. This is a great place to just hang out, get connected with other people. There's also just the channel to hang out in. So just like, getting back into the community, getting a little more connected with people, spending some time around other Fedorans. Also here I have joined the Fedora Mentor Summit, joining the release party. And we have other, I'm not sure if I added these, help maintain the websites and apps. I feel like that was Akashdeep who might have added that on there. And then other opportunities, what can I do for Fedora? That's a resource you can share with other folks to figure out where they want to land. But Join SIG is definitely one of those places. Akash, did you want to say something?
The very last point that you made, Murray, was the point that I was trying to make. The folks who interact with the newcomers, try to get them some place that they would want to be and something to contribute to, something to be a part of. Join SIG. They would be a great fit. The folks who are active, that is, for being ambassadors and helping with the folks, helping with the things that you mentioned over here. So yeah.
Yes. Join SIG's great for people who are interested in outreach but want like a lightweight contribution, right? Like it's basically hang out in this channel, open tickets for people, check in with them, and then close the ticket. and then kind of repeat that process and help them find their way to the right area in Fedora. So if that's the kind of ambassadorship that you're looking to do, Join SIG is a great team to hook up with and get involved with. All right, we are like seconds away from the end of this call. I hope that it was useful. I think there's a lot of questions that came up. I really encourage people to add in their questions or desired agenda topics to this. And for now, we're going to have the next meeting a month from now on Element. All right.